Michael Thurber with VEDA Communications of VEDACom.com. That is VEDACom with 2 M's.com, sociologist and photojournalist. I'm here with Chris Fernandez and John Foster. Okay, this is the coach. Elite. The best in the world. Okay? Understand something here. We covered tennis. We talked about football, the Texans. We talked about the Astros.
We did.
Yes, we did.
They're in good shape.
And now, we're going to talk about those Dynamo and those Dash, that Houston Dynamo, Houston Dash. And there's something to be said about that, and that one thing is this. Many Dash fans and Dynamo fans are disappointed in Houston. They're tired of the losing streak. They're wondering when their favorite team is actually going to win some games. Now, I had the opportunity to talk with a couple of fans outside of the last Dynamo game, and they're wondering if and when Ben Alston is going to be fired. That is something that is on the minds of everyone because people do not pay good money for losing teams. Chris.
Sure. Well, I've analyzed, I've talked to Pat Onstad. Those two names get me mixed up.
Understood.
Pat Onstad. So I've covered the Houston Dynamo since their inception in 2006, their championship in 2006, 2007. And I can tell you, Mike, that a lot has to do with it. And I know you guys don't want to hear it, but it all has to do with the budget. The budget that the Dynamo may or may not have is very detrimental to who they have on the field.
Agreed.
Correct? So if we don't have a moneymaker, a money bringer, someone that's going to take us to the MLS playoffs, we're not going to see any championship anytime soon. I've said it with baseball. I've said it with football. You got to make the exchange. You got to make the investment to be able to reap an investment.
Where do they rank? Where do they rank as far as soccer teams, as far as the amount of money they're spending on the players? Do you know?
I would say find a snake, point to his belly, and then look underneath that.
Yeah.
That's probably, I'm going to say probably dead last. I mean, I'm just spitballing here.
As far as the money invested in the team and
as far as investing to the players,
really?
Because you're looking at MLS players not making a lot unless you're Messi and you just came over, and as you're one of the ex and retired players from worldwide, FIFA sports, then you're not making anywhere near $1 million. Nowhere near.
Well, let's ask the question. What does the average MLS player make?
I'm going to guess right in between the last salary that I saw, an average 1 year, first year player, you're looking at, I think it's 800,000, 600,000, something like that.
800,000, 600,000. What does the average man on the street make?
Not close.
$40,000 to $52,000 a year.
Not even that.
Not even that, depending on where
you have some first year players that are not even getting to.
But it only lasts a couple of years if you're lucky.
That's okay.
Players, yeah.
Now understand something. Are the fans hard on the Houston Dynamo Dash? Yes.
Yes.
Is VEDA hard on the Dash in the Dynamo? We are. But we love them. Right. That is our team.
I'll tell you what.
Go ahead.
If I had not gotten to meet the Houston Dynamo, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now.
This is true.
And I owe everything to the Houston Dynamo because they were the first team that said, we want El Dorado News there. Back in 2006, when they just came from San Jose earthquake, that's what they were. They came here. They made their home here. I covered them their first year. They gave me the opportunity to be there. And as soon as I covered them, guess what? Houston Texans called me and said, we need El Dorado News here. So I went to the Texans. Right after I went to the Texans, I got the call from the Houston Astros and said, hey, we need El Dorado News to be here and cover our Houston Astros. Okay. Right after that, I think it was several years later, I started covering the Rockets. Rocket was the last professional team that I covered. So far now, I've covered the NBA playoffs. I've covered NCAA Final Four. I've covered FIFA soccer, USA soccer. I've covered swimming. I've covered high school baseball, basketball, anything you want to cover. I've gone to Ohio. I've gone to Mexico. I've covered professional boxing. We're going to get to that in a little bit.
Yes.
So I've gotten to do everything I wanted to do thanks to the Houston Dynamo. When I had my surgery in 2016, I had heart surgery. the first team to allow me to come in, the Houston Dynamo. Okay?
Kudos to the Houston Dynamo and Houston
I've always
Dash.
meant to write them a letter, Mike. I haven't got to it, but they were the first team. They saw me. I was weak. Coach saw me.
Yeah.
I was weak. I was very thin. I could barely breathe and make it from here to the camera. I was so weak.
Triple bypass.
Field bypass.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Yes. And so when I went to the Dynamo and asked for my first game back from surgery, it's on my Facebook, from my surgery, they said, Chris, don't sit in regular media, don't sit outside. Come here, sit here. They sat me in media inside, and they brought me water and food.
You hear that, folks?
That is what I call professional.
It is.
Regardless of what everybody else believes about the Houston Dynamo, I know for sure they are one professional sports team. Whether we have this people, those people, that team, and that team that laugh at what the Houston Dynamo are, folks, no one's ever treated me like that.
And I have to say, he is absolutely correct. Win, lose, or draw, Houston Dynamo, Houston Dash does treat press as one of their own. Guaranteed. Every game, we have to say this though, every single game, win, lose, or draw, press has a full buffet of meal, food, waiting on them to come there to shoot, to do the articles, journalism, talk to players, talk to fans every single game.
And not
And
just
we
in
would
the
like to
press
say
box,
thank you.
not just in the press box, but also in the photo media room.
Correct.
Where most journalists that write or shoot video or take photos are usually in. I'm in the press box, but I don't do half the work that my folks do. You know, the photographers, the camera folks,
Correct.
they do a lot of the work and standing and shooting and
Yes.
positioning. I don't have to do much but type. That's it.
I will say this though. Houston Dynamo, Houston Dash games are some of the best games as far as fanfare.
You know when I like
in
it?
Houston.
You know when I like it, when I love it, Coach? You're looking at late September, early October, the breeze.
Great weather.
So
Oh
cool.
yes,
Yeah.
it
And
is.
you're outside
Yeah.
watching the game. I invite everybody to go to a Houston Dynamo game or a Dash game. Do you know that I was there when they picked the Dash?
Really?
When they did the training, the how you say, the scouting for the young ladies, there was 200 or 300 women that were trying to get spots for the Houston Dash. They were doing the tryouts, and I covered them video and photo. I even did interviews and put them in the paper, put them on my website. And a lot of them were first timers, a lot of them were students, university students. We had them as far as Switzerland, Mexico, Brazil.
All of them.
It was incredible.
Here's my question, and the fans love Diesel. I just found out that there are 2 Diesels.
Is there a blue
yeah.
one and an orange one?
No, there's two gentlemen who actually played that mascot
Oh, the
character.
mascot, okay.
And I tell you, man, it's hot outside.
Right.
And I can guarantee it's even hotter
In the uniform.
in the
costume.
in the
yes.
costume.
Yeah.
He does an excellent job. They do an excellent job pumping the crowd up and everything like that, getting them set for the games. So kudos to whoever is the man inside of the
what the
costume.
big question was, I went to my first press conference about 2 weeks ago. One of the first questions in the press conference to Pat Onstead was, Pat, tell us, when are we getting the cheerleaders back? I could not believe that question, but understandably so. We did have cheerleaders.
Okay, so what happened to the cheerleaders?
I'm going to assume that it was the economy and
Okay.
they couldn't keep paying them or whatnot. But we've had cheerleaders when they started at Robertson Stadium. We've always had cheerleaders. So I was like, something's different in this game at halftime. I said, what's different? And that's what it was. Our cheerleaders.
The,
they need to come back.
El Battalion.
El Batallón.
Oh, say it again for him.
El Batallón.
We love you. Thanks for the great music. Thanks for the drums
What
and
about the
everything.
Texans? The Texan Army's there also.
Oh, they really?
Yeah, they're called the Texan Army. They play
didn't know
music. Yeah, they're in the stands.
Oh God.
Yeah, and so Edgar, he's the communications guy for the Houston Dash. Edgar was one of, in case you guys don't know, and I let Pat know, he was one of the guys that I trained that was going to U of H as a student.
Okay.
El Dorado News trained them on the first pilot program ever, which was to train hands-on all the university students that wanted to do journalism. So I was one of the first ones to have that pilot program with the Texans and with the Dynamo.
That's
in
really good.
2010, 2012. And I taught them how to do journalism, photojournalism, website, how to do interviews, how to stand, how to do the talent, how to do the whole show, how to do interviews in the dressing rooms, how to carry yourself on the field.
Well, let me ask you, where do you see the Houston Dynamo and the Dash this season?
This season, making all the proper changes and looking at everyone that's new and everyone that's stayed. I've seen a couple of good ones there, a couple of acquisitions that you might want to say that are good. I'm thinking, and I'm usually not wrong. Coach knows I usually pick them. I'm thinking last season, I think, if I'm not mistaken, went to the first round and we lost. Is that correct? Or we didn't
For this season or last season?
For last season. Or we didn't get there at all.
I don't think we got there at all.
Okay, this season we get in the first round and we're done. Okay, because usually what I've seen is that, well, regardless of the coach or head coach, I think we had a Colombian coach before this one. We had an English coach before this one. I don't believe that it's with the coaches. The issue is not with the coaches.
What is the issue?
The issue is the belief. We're going back to the spiritual. I believe that the issue is with the actual players wanting to think that they believe. I believe that in continuity. I believe in chemistry. We don't have the chemistry of Brian Ching, of Wendell Rosario, which he was the pitchman for Ching. Of course, the pitchman he's out on the wing, the right side of the field. Mm-hmm. He's got the ball. He pitches or passes the ball to Ching. Ching hits it point blank. We don't have that. We don't have a pick, catch, and throw, if you will. We don't have that kind of chemistry right now. When Pat Onstead was asked in that same press conference when I went to, Pat, what are you going to see? What's going on? And of course, my question was, when are we going to see chemistry between these players? The only way that happens is, Coach, with experience.
Tennis.
It happens with experience. These guys got to play together for a long time.
Oh.
If they don't develop chemistry, we're not going to have a
granted, they did get a new team, essentially.
Right.
You know, but again...
Chemistry,
Chemistry, yes, but again, at the end of the day, I do believe in what you're saying. It does take money. Good money finds good players. That's just a rule of law.
You know, there was a way of looking at players and their identity as people, whether they play for a team or they're an individual, and whether they'll get along, and they could look at their personality,
right.
And then form the team on that basis where somebody doesn't fit in. But and this is something with the Houston Texans, and they're talking about this a little bit, and like Clint is talking about, you need a leader in there on the offense. We don't have one. We have one on the defense for the Houston Texans. We don't, and the quarterback, he's a leader, but he's not a vocal leader. And they need somebody that's going to grab when things aren't right, and then he's a Christian. He's really into, hey, we're all going to get along here, and he works like that, works really hard, but it's all get along. And like what Kurt said, if somebody's messing up, we need to say, hey, Fernandez, you need to straighten it up, okay? And I don't worry what Chris says, okay? It's cool, but it's done. We're going to move on. Let's do it. We got to work together. So a leader that takes charge and the alpha of the offense.
Unfortunately, in tennis, it's not that way. When there was a respect for the coach with Dominique Kinnear, he said the word. He even called out the media, and he's like, "Hey, you're doing this. Hey, you're, and you listen." He's very, very strong. You're right about that part. I think that we must have a coach that is both loved, respected, and at some time or another hated. Because if you don't have those three things, then how can you become a great player? How can you develop chemistry with your fellow player if you don't, one, fear, two, respect your coach, your staff, and your other players? And that's where, besides what we know that we don't have the budget for.
Well, that's what makes a special team too. That's what made the Astros, and I missed that. I don't think we have that yet with the new team. I mean, very seldom. We had it for so many years where, Bregman cheering on Altuve and Altuve cheering on Correa. When Correa made the team, it was like Altuve, like, yeah, this is it, man, the final piece, And he was there a long time before. But that hey, I believe in you, and if I strike out, you got it. Man, so many years, thank you, Astros, we were spoiled I mean, I'd just listen to games and like, come on, he's going to hit a home run, and they would hit a home run, man. It's like, I mean, no matter who it was.
Was it true back in the day, home runs were not as prevalent as they are now? Is that true? I don't know.
From what I know, that's true, but it has to do a lot with air quality, believe it or not.
Okay.
Spacing, believe it or not. When I mean spacing, I mean they're either bringing up or pushing back of the stands. Okay. 4, I want to say the talent, but not so much the talent. I believe that the genes and genetics in players has grown,
it's grown
stronger, faster.
Tennis, it's all they're faster. Athletes are faster, smarter, better.
So they're getting that batter on the ball.
In tennis, I'm sure in baseball the same thing. Yeah, they just the strength like.
So this is a natural evolution of the players in the game.
For sure. To put it on a tennis, and McEnroe said the same thing too.
Coach, nature versus.
For what's that?
Nature versus
nurture. Yeah.
Nurture.
The McEnroe never slid on the court. On hard court, slide. They slide on hard courts now. I would never slide on hard. And I watched some kids, I think back in 2008, 2010, and I'm watching some of these kids, and I was a world-class athlete. I played with, I didn't get a chance to go on the tour full-time, stock market crash, but I got out there and I never looked at the pros and went, man, they're doing something different than I can. I felt like I belonged and I could do that, no problem. But I looked at some of the kids and I'm watching them move around. I go, he's not even a world-class athlete. He moves faster than I ever did.
Wow.
Who the heck is this? And then I went Cincinnati, went New Haven, Connecticut, Yale University. And at this time in 2008-9, they hadn't put the men and women's Cincinnati locker room together. It was just the men, and then the men came in first, and then the women followed. Well, and then there was the year Andy Murray did his breakout, and everybody was talking that on the bus. Well, they knew Andy was the man at the time. He was coming. He was the one to beat. So we go to Yale, and so I'm at Yale, and I worked at River Oaks Country Club I know all the pros. I know every year, the Bryan brothers, every Todd Martin, you name it, Federer on the court played there the first year. Everybody, got to know everybody, and we help them out all week long, so we get to know them. Jeff Tarango, got to know him very well. Anyhow, I'm at Yale, and this was hard courts, and of course River Oaks was clay, so maybe they weren't trying to hit it so hard, but I hear pop, 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 and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And I look through the fence. This is true. I mean, I've never been taken back. When I went to Madison Square Garden and watched John McEnroe play against, I think, Roscoe Tanner, and I know Roscoe, and they were up on, it wasn't Tanner there, it was in Miami, but in Madison Square Garden, and I'm going, man, I could do that. It was McEnroe and Connors, I think. And I was like, I didn't feel like they were doing anything that was, like, I wish I could do that. I was there. When I looked through the fence in 2008, I went, you gotta be kidding me. They were hitting the ball absolutely as hard as they could, like every time. And the guy at the net, it was like having Ivan Lendl. I don't know if you guys remember Ivan Lendl.
Yes.
I mean, it was scary, dude. When Lendl hit that backhand, man, it was a laser. The guy at the net, you had to know what you were doing. You were hitting the ball. The ball was going to go through your body, Well, these guys were doing that every time they hit the ball. The whole pop, pop, pop. And I went, Federer and Nadal, they don't hit it this hard. Djokovic, they don't play that hard when they play. They don't. So I watched Djokovic go down one time to Nikishori, the Japanese guy. And I think what I saw in that match was Nikishori finally, that's how you say it, finally brought that game to Djokovic, where he was laid on a few backhands, and I've never seen laid on some forehands and beat him. But he was able to take that hard hitting all the time and bring it to a match, and got through a match.
Speaking of hard hitting, boxing.
Switching gears here. We're switching gears here. Is it Joe Louis right here?
Joe Louis, yeah.
Who you got your money on?
Joe Louis.
Joe Louis.
I'm just joking.
I like Joe Louis. You ever watch Joe Louis highlights?
Yeah. I've seen those. Yeah.
Joe, it's like
this right here, right? It's like this.
I don't know. You're talking Johnny Johnson or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know about that, Chris. But the thing I like about It's like wham, one shot, and it's like done. You know, it's one dude. You ever watch his fights? Joe Louis. It's one hit. It's like that right hand, wham, and they're done. It's down. You know, Marciano. You ever watch Marciano?
Right.
Oh my gosh, go and Google up on Marciano, watch him. And I read something the other day and it made sense. He didn't prepare to fight. He prepared to go to war. And every time, he trained all the time. You know, he was kind of like Bruce Lee. Oh, he's trained, you know. And it was war for him. It wasn't
Let me ask you to this here, because we have not had the opportunity to talk about this. That last Mike Tyson fight.
Oh.
Your thoughts?
Ooh. I'm speechless. I mean, I thought he would knock him out. I mean, he wasn't there. Something happened. I don't know what the hype. What
did he have
I have no clue.
Right?
I don't think Mike knows, but I would have never dreamed that was going to go down. I mean, we saw him training. Unless they sped up the films and showed Mike. I mean, he looked like a killer. And I mean, I know in my 50s, I could move pretty good. I could still play tennis and hit the ball with any 20-year-old. I couldn't do it for 3 sets. 1 set, I could, in my 50s, I could do it. And even now, I plan to be, which I did an interview down in Main Street.
Boxing.
Yeah, boxing. But speed and everything. Well, watch me hit some bags now. I'm 100 years old right now.
I'm not hitting
any
bags. I am tired.
But it's how long you can do it for, you know?
Yeah.
And you do lose some coordination and stuff. But, I mean, he didn't have it at all. He didn't even throw punches.
Well, some people felt like Mike Tyson held back in certain aspects.
No doubt about it. There was something so, and that's why,
was it that obvious to you?
Yeah.
This is my take on this. My brother discussed it. He goes, "Oh, Chris," he goes, "What happened was that Mike thought that this would be easy for him. He'd knock him out in 1 or 2.
No, but he didn't try, Chris.
Right, I understand. But that's what my brother said. And I'm just looking at him, and I'm like, okay, this is about money. And if it's about money, you want to go as far as you want to go. And especially if he's at the age he is. If this is a money fight, then he wants to get money. The longer and the better show that he puts on, the better. I knew my aunt's cousin, who was a pro fighter, boxer, loser. He got paid to lose, literally.
Really?
That's everyone. He would make fighters' careers by losing. Yes, sir. Correct. But this was in Mexico. So he would get paid to fight so-and-so and so-and-so, but he would always have to take a dive. He would always have to fight.
Are you insinuating that this last Mike Tyson fight was akin to that?
What I'm saying is that it's not out of the realm possibility that money and big money was involved. And the longer that the fight goes on, the more money that will be involved.
All right, so Mike Tyson essentially carried this guy.
Correct.
Yeah, he didn't throw any punches. He was either sick or he got paid a lot of money and didn't want to hurt him, and somebody paid him.
I heard one person say, hey, Mike Tyson had several open shots, and didn't take
He
it.
never took them. He didn't have anything. I mean,
So does this man have bragging rights? And do you necessarily brag as a young man beating up on old people?
No, I think that's very incorrect. I don't believe that you do that, especially if he knew very, very well that he really didn't win a fight, and if he knew very, very well that Tyson was not at his best and was holding back, because he had to have been told.
What is going on in the world of boxing where it has come to this?
no, well, now that's not boxing. That's entertainment with Jake Paul.
Fair
That's
enough.
not boxing.
Yeah.
Boxing's back. The boxing corner. I'm interviewing Lou Savarese down there at Main Street, and boxing's back. It's big.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's so many belts out.
Events,
Too many
right,
belts
covered a
out.
couple of events.
What's that?
We covered a couple of events this summer already.
Yeah.
Boxing.
A couple.
Amateur, very amateur.
Amateur.
How was it? Was it good?
We just did. I
But
just
your
did.
youth amateur?
Lou Savarese just did a pro event. I did the announcing ringside for Lou Savarese at the convention center down in.
Was it Tomball?
Yeah.
Tomball.
No, not Tomball. Down on the Beltway and Beltway South.
So,
Yeah. So, yeah, Lou Savarese Productions, and he's doing it again in September, and I believe Dave is going to cover
What's
it
the
again.
lineup
Good,
for
good.
September?
BG Productions.
What's the lineup like? Is it
Professional. It's all
Great.
guys from Main Street. Yeah, professional.
Well, one of the I want to interject a little bit. One of the fighting gyms that was here in Houston, I just found out because I have gone this summer to the amateur fight that we're talking about with all the kids and covering for David. I saw Miss Savannah, Willie Savannah's ex-wife. I found out that after we're doing the movie at his gym,
Talking about an Alvin. Yeah.
right, that off of Dashwood and Bel Air in Southwest Houston.
Oh, okay.
That Mr. Willie Savannah has suffered a stroke about 4 years ago, and I kept calling trying to find out, and I didn't know what happened other than he had a stroke, and his wife was with him, and the daughter or stepdaughter were watching him. I never heard anything else back from him other than just 2 months ago, Mrs. Savannah said no, he passed away, and the gym was sold. The gym's no longer there, but she said
Where
she's
we
got
did
another
some
gym.
of the movie Man.
That's what we did. The movie
Yeah.
Man, and Coach was in that movie. He was a cutting man.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did, which I did for Angelo Dundee. I was worked. Had the opportunity to work for Angelo Dundee and train professional fighters.
That is
Hank
really
Kaplan,
good.
who's a boxing historian, was watching with Tommy Bonetta, my old coach, who coached Mike McCallum, was watching me break down a fight, and he's like, "Hey, this kid knows what he's doing," And I've always loved boxing. I listened to Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali on the radio in my bed when I was 10 years old to the fight, and I like Joe Frazier.
Okay.
And now I have a lot of respect for Muhammad Ali. What the greatest.
Are you saying that you
Unbelievable.
did not have respect for Muhammad Ali?
Not then. I like Joe Frazier. Well, I didn't
Okay.
like that he talked and everything. I didn't
Cassius
realize
Clay,
what.
baby, Cassius
I didn't
Clay.
realize he was that great. But now looking back on it, the speed and some of the things and how smart he was. Some of the,
This is true.
holy mackerel. And you want to talk about a great fight. My favorite fighter is Sugar Ray Leonard. And Dundee taught him also. And it was Rick Mandris. I mean,
Okay.
I was a spit bucket boy. I cornered a world title fight in Kiel, Germany. When we were supposed to go to Sweden, I wanted to go to Sweden and meet all but we never got on the boat to do it, because boxing at the time was illegal in Sweden. So we were going to do it on the boat, and he lost the fight. Should have won it, but he had the guy knocked out, and he didn't throw a punch. But
Let's ask a question.
Go ahead.
That fight that's getting ready to come up for September, do they have any open, I want to say, slots?
Slots. Is that a Canelo fight or?
I'd have it.
yeah, sure. Well, you
If
talk
they
to
do,
Lou
I
Savarese,
think I have
and
someone.
I know
What are you talking about?
the
Yes.
promoter too.
I think I have someone
Okay,
for you.
let's do it.
His name is Manny Dixon.
Okay.
Manny
He
Dixon
wants to fight.
is a boxer right here in Houston.
Does he
He's
have
really
manager?
good.
All right.
Is he a sports manager?
I don't think he
Representative
does.
publicist? That's
I-
what I do.
I'm gonna put him directly
There
in
you go.
touch with you.
Well, Coach, in looking at everything, I know that you've been a fighter, you've trained, and you've done a movie on boxing. I want to see, have you ever covered any of the boxing? Because I covered Golden Boy Entertainment, Golden Boy Boxing, back in 2008 here in Houston with Little Bull, Juan Diaz, and a lot of his fighters in Savannah's gym, by the way, and at Mambo's over on Bel Air and Bel Air in 59, where folks are being picked up for being immigrants, which I totally do not agree with that. Sorry that I interjected that, but I am
It's okay.
100% Mexican American.
It's okay.
And I was an immigrant, so were my parents. And Coach, when I interviewed these folks,
De La Hoya.
De La Hoya, and I was one of.
And Pacquiao.
I'm going to tell you, one of the very first persons, the only person, I was at Robertson Stadium with the Houston Dynamo, and I was given the opportunity to interview Oscar De La Hoya. In my lifetime so far with Eldorado News, I've interviewed him 3 times. One of those was the opening ceremony for the stadium, the Houston Dynamo Stadium.
Okay.
But going back to Robertson Stadium, Oscar De La Hoya had just finished, I think it was February, he had just finished fighting Manny Pacquiao.
Okay.
And when I told him I was El Dorado, and of course he's Golden Boy, El Dorado means gold, the golden one. So I let him know I'm Chris Fernandez, El Dorado. He just laughed and said, "Oh, okay, cool." So he liked that a lot. And it was funny that I was asked to do the interview in English because everyone else did the interviews in Spanish.
Okay.
And they didn't have any interviews in
Any
English.
English translation.
So I was on their website for a while in English.
That's
only,
good.
Yeah.
doing the interview, which it's great.
Yeah.
And boxing here in Houston was big when Golden Boy was here.
Oh, it was very big. Yeah, Evander trained here, and then in
They trained at Spanish
'87.
Gym, matter of fact.
Really?
Yeah.
Holyfield and a couple of the other ones there.
Yeah, Tim Hallmark worked with you see the white guy hanging out with Evander all the time when he went to the ring? That was Tim Hallmark. Tim Hallmark was a personal trainer. I think Evander hired him personally. I mean, the guy was magic. Something was the matter. I was looking to go pro at the time in tennis, not in boxing. But I was hanging with Vinny Pazienza, Melvin Taylor, Pernell Whitaker, Evander Holyfield, Mike McCallum. It was awesome. I bring Vinny, to the Charlie Club here in Houston. I go down to the Charlie Club to play basketball with Pernell Whitaker and Melder Taylor. They're like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "They're with me." It was cool. It was really cool.
Okay.
And Mike McCallum, they were training. Lou Duva comes into town with George Benton. God bless him, and Lou Duva, God bless him. I found out my dad went to school with Lou Duva.
Right.
Wow.
They're from Patterson, and I heard, and when I got into boxing, and my dad set me up with somebody, I'm like, Tommy Bonetta, and I mean, he had some connections, so he knew what he was doing. I went to Coconut Grove, and I got hooked up with the right people.
Okay.
So, anyway,